Welcome to Mallett and Michelle on Dripping Springs, hosted by me, Michelle Lewis, and Steve Mallett, who one of his life's mottos is, life is hard. It's even harder if you're stupid.
That's true.
It is true. Do I ever say anything that's not true to you? I mean...
No, actually, well, maybe not. But life is hard if you're stupid. And unfortunately, there's a lot of stupid people out there.
You know who I think said that? Or maybe it's an urban myth.
Is that Churchill?
John Wayne. I think.
I bet it was. Yeah. Sounds like something John Wayne would say.
I think he did.
Yeah. And Michelle Lewis, who looked deep into a septic tank and will never be the same.
I was scarred that day. That was awful.
That was better you tthan me.
Hey, people, be cognitive of the fact that you're using wet wipes. Other people are going to see. And I was traumatized.
You'll never be the same.
I will never be the same anyways.
We're going to do a podcast one day about real estate horror stories and talk about all the stuff we've encountered over the years.
I can't wait. It's going to be called You Can't Make This Beep Up.
It's true. It's true. Hey, it's Tuesday. So Taco Tuesday, but Dairy Queen is no more.
Steve, have you ever eaten a Dairy Queen taco?
Never eaten a Dairy Queen taco. I'm not ever going to eat a Dairy Queen taco.
Dairy Queen tacos are on my top 10 of most favorite foods in the entire world. And why? Because it's comfort food to me. When I was a kid, they're so good.
No.
You don't even know because you've never had one.
No, I never have.
But they're
never will.
Let's face it, this is not the worst thing you've caught me doing.
Did you forget what you were going to say?
No, it's just
where the Dairy Queen is now. What I heard was they're going to tear it down and make it into
Arby's.
No, not an Arby's, a car wash.
No, they're not.
I swear that's what I heard. Car wash.
Yeah, I want an Arby's.
I can't. Call the new owner.
Take my money. I need Arby's. I love Arby's. Cedric and I, we went Arby's.
You got Whataburger.
No, I like Arby's.
I don't like any of that stuff.
I know. But you know what? I don't really eat a lot of that stuff anyways. I literally eat my cup of noodles, or I had 2 crackers today. So
that's true. You're on a liquid diet.
I am. Well,
you get in trouble from your doctor if he knows you had crackers.
I know.
Crackers.
If I have crack.
If you have crack.
You know, the way I haven't been feeling really good lately, and I kind of internalize my stress a lot. It's something I'm really good at.
Everybody that knows you knows this.
But I always have a smile on my face until I don't, and then I will put you under the car and roll over you.
And then you end up on TikTok.
Yeah, but it made me started thinking, the buzzword now is toxic trait. What's your toxic trait? And I have I'm old enough to admit that my toxic trait is when I'm putting on an event or a party and people aren't doing what I want them to do, I get really mean.
You do. You get super mean.
I yelled at Todd at the HEB parking lot yesterday.
Because he wouldn't park?
He wouldn't park and help me load the groceries the way I wanted him to help me load the groceries.
Jeez.
He said, "You're mean right now." I am. What is your toxic trait?
I think mine is, if you do me wrong, I really have a hard time forgiving and forgetting.
Yeah.
People that have... I know people from 10 years ago that did me wrong, and I still have a hard time being nice to them. That's probably my worst one.
I've talked to you out of things a couple of times.
You have, for the most part. I mean, it's. I'm not talking about, somebody that said something kind of off color or something. Yeah. I'm talking about people that lied to me and I found out, or swindled me out of something, and I know I'm a different person than I was 10 years ago, so I should give them the benefit of the doubt, but I just have a hard time letting go of that
Steve,
stuff.
Somebody did me wrong a little while ago, and I actually followed them just because I just wanted to follow them. And I got a nail in my tire.
Yeah, see, you stalked them. Yeah.
So
that karma thing is a bear.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of bears, ooh, what a good segue, Mallett.
That
was really good. Yeah. I want to talk about, I know you're not a big football fan, but college ball, man, I really enjoy college ball over the NFL because you don't have to deal with all the political stuff. Mm-hmm. But DSHS has a phenomenal player. His name is Austin Novosad. He's the quarterback. He's the senior this year for Dripping Springs High School. He is currently ranked number 8 in the country.
No way.
In in the country.
Dripping Springs. Wow.
Dripping Springs. And he was being touted by some of the top schools in the nation, Ohio, Texas A&M,
wow.
Notre Dame. And
Notre Dame. Wow.
Guess who he just committed to?
Who?
Baylor.
No way.
Baylor Bears. And Baylor,
that's awesome.
They say it's Baylor is quoted as saying it's one of the biggest decisions made in the 2023 class. And honestly, this may end up being one of the biggest decisions in Baylor football history. We will have to see how this plays out, but think of it this way. Novosad is a minimum, a top 10 quarterback in the country, but I think he is closer to a top 6 elite talent. You don't get a chance to land a prospect like this very often, and some schools never get a chance to land a prospect like this.
Wow, that's amazing.
That hometown boy.
What's his name's Austin?
Austin Novosad.
Well, good luck, Austin.
Let's get Austin on the podcast.
Yeah, we need to get him in here. He's probably off to school already. Remember, Faith headed off to school.
No. He's a senior this year.
Oh, he's a senior this year.
Yeah. So go out there and support your Tigers. So from Tiger to a Bear.
There you go. Yeah. Well, that was a good segue, wasn't it?
Yeah. Look at you.
Is it hot enough for you out there?
We have a little cold front for the wedding this Saturday. It's going to be 94.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be thankful for that. Is that really the high that day?
Uh-huh.
Oh, gosh, man, that is lucky, actually.
Cold front, yeah.
So I'll be out there in my tank top.
I'll be the one looking like the Jessica Rabbit.
I was reading Jacob's Well went dry.
Oh,
it stopped flowing for the first. It didn't go dry. It stopped flowing for the second time or fourth time in history.
That's really sad. My new, are they my in-laws if they're my daughter's in-laws? My son-in-law's family. Okay. Yeah. They own Zuber River Camp out in Concan, the Frio River. And the Frio had stopped running.
That's crazy.
That's their livelihood out there. That's crazy. So go support Zuber River Camp because that's my family. And if you guys have been there, but it's pretty sad. We're in a serious drought right now. And then on the flip side, Kentucky is having those monstrous
Arkansas, Kentucky, huge amounts of rain up there. God, I wish we could divert some of it down here.
The pictures coming out of the Appalachian Mountains out there is just horrific because the just extreme pour.
Well, Las Vegas a week or so
did you
ago
see all that?
Yeah, I know, flooding in the casinos and
we're just like this horseshoe of drought.
High pressure. Yeah, I was looking at some of the levels from Lake Travis, and Lake Travis is 53% full, which is actually slightly higher than it was during the last drought from, 2011?
We talked about that, yeah.
Yeah,
interesting.
So the highest it's ever been is 710 feet. It's 647 feet now, and the last drought was 643. And then the all-time low for Lake Travis is 614 feet. So we've got a ways to go, but apparently it's losing like a foot a day.
Yeah, and you need to keep your dogs out of the water, because the water's so stagnant that those dogs, I've seen several reports that the dogs are getting in there and hours later they're dying.
No way.
Yeah.
Or like
from the algae. And their systems can't process it.
It's funny because it doesn't hurt humans, I guess.
No. How are you feeling, by the way?
Actually, I'm better. Boy, they threw all kinds of medication at me. I got cleaned out.
There's a show that Todd and I were watching. I think it's on Netflix. I think it's called Keep Breathing, and it's about this woman that.
Yeah, we watched that.
Okay, so there's a scene in there where she's like pulling some water, and then she
looks at it and it's all clear,
and then she's like, "Oh, you see a deer peeing, and then like somebody pooping, and then this
and the fish poop."
Yeah. And Todd goes, "I wonder if that's what Steve was thinking."
It was exactly what I was thinking when I drank that creek water. Yeah, I took my little filter that didn't work when I was in Oregon, and I took it back to REI and I threw it on the counter and said, "This thing doesn't work." But they gave me my money back.
But you won't eat it Dairy Queen.
No, I won't eat it Dairy Queen. But I did get a new filter because next time we go.
Hey, I want you to mention really quick this kind of funny shout out that we beat.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
Not beat somebody, but
what was Cruz?
Brandon Cruz.
Brandon Cruz, yeah. Was,
Navy SEAL.
Yep, Navy SEAL was on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and we posted about it on Dripping Springs Neighbors, and Marcus Luttrell commented on it and said, "How come you haven't been on our show?"
Yeah.
We beat out Marcus Luttrell.
It was on Brandon's personal page, and the Luttrells commented.
Yeah. What's the name of their show? Team Never Quit.
Team Never Quit.
Yeah. Marcus Luttrell and Morgan Luttrell. They're two former Navy SEALs. But I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast a couple weeks ago. I think you might have mentioned it too. I can't remember the guest he had on there, but they were talking about nomads and people that live in RVs. Did you see that?
Was that the Tim Kennedy one, or no? That was a different one.
It was a different one. I can't remember. This guy was a philosopher or something, but they were talking about, this guy mentioned people that live in vans and RVs, and he said, what kind of life choices would you have had to make to end up living in an RV on the side of the road? And I was like, I wonder if they're all sort of like made bad choices. And so I did a little research. There's actually a book called Nomadland.
You mean that people are just like traveling? They live out of their van down by the river.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't have a real address.
But everybody thinks, well, that's like homelessness, sort of like you ended up like that. A large percentage of these people, they're choosing this lifestyle.
Well, I think of the logistics side of it. It's like, where do you get your mail? And like,
you do need to have a permanent state address, right? Because you do have to get mail, and you have to file taxes and pay taxes and all that stuff. But a lot of them live, they travel around. Apparently there's like a big sugar beet harvest in South Dakota or something. Yeah, serious. And they all travel up there. And it's funny because you think they're like homeless people that are all isolated. They form these little tribes, and they all travel together as nomads, which you remember, you see old movies where the guys would hop on the trains. They were hobos and drifters and restless souls, and they would just travel around. This is the modern day version of these folks. They live on the road. Didn't
you say that Amazon has like a community or something?
So Amazon likes to hire these folks because they're typically a little older. They maybe they've had a career, they're responsible, and Amazon likes to hire them around their busiest times of the year, which what I guess would be maybe back to school and Christmas, obviously. And so Amazon contracts with like RV parks, takes over a whole RV park to let their employees stay there. Now, they don't pay them super well, and they work them to death.
Yeah.
But, if you were like in good shape and you're traveling around, you're like, wow, I could go work for Amazon, make a couple $1,000 over a month or so, and then I can get, keep up with my travels.
Pay for gas and everything else.
So it's actually a pretty good lifestyle.
One of my bedtime television shows that we kind of watch when we go to bed is International House Hunters. And I've seen a couple episodes where, and I think it's like starting to become, remember like when we were kids, I'm going to go backpacking in Europe kind of thing. You go with one suitcase, and it's starting to make a comeback because there's so many work from home people or there's remote people.
As long as they can get a Wi-Fi signal, they can work.
Yeah. And, listening to April Miller, the one that we had, our guest that we had, was expat. It's a pretty common, or not common, but it's a common misconception that you cannot do this. Apparently, I think it was, where was this one guy Thailand. They were there on a retirement visa.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I like having a spot to just kind of call home, but
I think that's the perfect fit. That's the perfect situation, right? Like you have a home base, and you can go there when you want. If maybe you have to have surgery or something, you can go back and convalesce there. But these folks, they're actually living a pretty cool lifestyle. Some of them go work in national parks. Go work at Yellowstone during the summer. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
On your day off, you go do some of the cool hikes and see all the scenes. And
I see that's what I see in your future is
I actually
be a park ranger or something.
I don't think I'd be a park ranger. I think you got to have like a master's to be a park ranger.
Do you really?
I don't know.
We're going to research it. Steve's Career 3.0.
Yeah, that's right. Well, some of the quotes from the book, the Nomadland book, which was written by Jessica Bruder, is the last free place in America is a parking lot. Because, people park in the Walmart parking lot.
You can park at the
Walmart. They camp there, and hope on the road for a better place.
That's an interesting. I don't know. I think I would have a 2-week window for me. Like,
I could do it for a long time.
I think
these folks, they're mostly middle class, and they don't say we're homeless, meaning we don't have, because some of them don't have homes. They have a post office box. Yeah. They say we're houseless. We don't have a house to take care of.
See, I'm just going to lay my cards out there. I'm a little bit more materialistic than you are.
I'd say a lot more, yeah.
I like my stuff.
The other one was that I thought was cool is they say we don't own real estate, we own wheel estate.
Oh, wheel estate.
And they do buses and RVs and stuff. So
well, that's interesting. Yeah. So a nomadic lifestyle.
It's the new version of the hobo.
What is the actual meaning of the word nomad? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I just threw you on for a loop.
Yeah. Well, when you ask me a question like that I don't know the answer to, you're supposed to have the TV pulled up so that you can look it up and make me look silly.
That's a lot of work right now.
And you didn't do that.
Steve, I'm on muscle relaxants right now.
Yeah.
It's a member of people who have no fixed resident. Yeah. A member of a people. That's what it says.
Oh, member of a people.
Member of a people who have no fixed residence but move from place to place, usually seasonally and within a well-defined territory. For centuries, nomads have included shepherded goats, sheep, cattle, blah, 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 blah. There you go.
Well, and there was a whole in the Middle East and like Saudi Arabia and stuff. Remember those people, they'd have camels, huge flocks of camels.
Yeah, but if you got hungry, you just kill your goat.
Well, yeah. Yeah. But then you had to live in the desert where it's 120 degrees.
And no Dairy Queen tacos.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Well, who's our guest today?
Kevin Garrett.
Kevin Garrett, former NFL player.
Yes.
Who lives in Dripping Springs.
Super interesting guy. We met his lovely family at Founders, and he's a trainer.
Yep. Speed trainer. And former NFL player, played in Canadian Football League for a while, and I think one season in Europe. So that's pretty cool. I think big celebrity.
Ooh, we're excited.
Yeah.
We're so excited.
We're going to take a little break, though, and get Kevin in here and visit with him about his time in the NFL and what he's doing now with his sports training. So sit tight. We'll be right back.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallett Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at mallettintegrityteam.com. And now here's Steve and Michelle.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here with Kevin Garrett. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, good. When did you move to Dripping Springs?
We moved to Dripping Springs, I want to say maybe 4.5, 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
My wife, she's from Canada, and so her job transferred her to Austin.
Okay.
And so our first 2 years in the ATX area, we lived actually in Austin, Travis Heights area.
Okay.
But we lived in the W Hotel for like 6 months.
Oh, that's
damn.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's terrible.
She was originally the food and beverage manager of the W Hotel, well, actually Marriott Hotel. So she was pretty high up in that chain. And so, yeah, we lived in the W. So I was loving that. And then we moved to a little condo in Travis Heights. And that was before my daughter was born. We had my son, and he was 1 at the time. And then when we had our daughter, we were like, well, it's time to get out of the city.
Yeah.
And that's why we were just looking at different areas. We looked in Westlake Hills, we looked in Lakeway and Bee Cave and all that. And then we stumbled upon a little cheaper area where we can get more house and more land.
That's Dripping Springs?
Dripping Springs.
Oh, wow.
This is before the boom.
No kidding.
Yeah, so that's kind of what brought us to Drip. I didn't know anything about Dripping Springs.
You got in at the right time.
Exactly. So we're happy about that, and we're loving it. And she's a city girl, so I'm surprised she actually likes it here. And so we're loving it. I always tell people, when I left high school to go to college, I've never been in the city more than 4 to 5 years. Because, I redshirted at SMU, so I was there 5 years.
Yeah.
I was in St. Louis. I was in Kansas City. I went back home to Houston. I was in Carolina. I was in New York. I was in Europe and in Canada. And my whole stint, I haven't been in the city longer than 5 years. So
man.
Coming up on that itch, and I like, you want to kind of sell the house because our property value has tripled since.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, you want to sell and go somewhere. It's like, no, I love it here. I have my friends and our family.
That's great.
And all that.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised because she's a
town.
city girl, right?
Yeah. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up about an hour south of Houston in Brazoria, Texas. So
okay.
Usually people ask where I'm from, I just make it easy and say I'm from the Houston area.
I've heard of Brazoria.
But we're on the coast, Surfside Beach, Galveston. Well, Galveston's maybe 45 minutes, but it's along that whole coast area. And so, small town, small country town, so.
Yeah. And so you're born and raised Texan.
Yeah, I am technically Texan, but I was born on the border of Texas and Mexico in the valley. My dad, both my parents were educators. So my dad was a principal and a coach a long time ago. And so they were down. He was coaching in Brownsville.
Okay.
And
where were you born?
I was born in San Benito. So I like to tell people I'm Mexican. I'm a black Mexican.
See, I was born in Weslaco.
Okay, yeah.
I'm Huerita Barbie.
Yeah.
So you're black Mexican. I'm Huerita Barbie.
Exactly.
So what people don't understand about us growing up in the valley is that like we can roll our R's. We are.
Yeah. You can roll that perro.
We're okay buying food out of trucks or out of back of trunks or just random
shrimp in a trunk.
Yeah, carts driving down the road. You just eat random. No wonder.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, your stomach issues. Yeah.
So as I was raised, we kind of just migrated up north and kind of got outside the Houston area because my mom's from that area. My dad's from Eastern Texas, and so they had some land and stuff, and so they built the house, and that's kind of how we migrated up there.
And your dad was a football coach?
At one point in time, he was a football coach. He went to a principal. And then he actually retired out of the education, and then he started his own business, which is where I think I get my entrepreneurship from.
Okay.
And then he sold his business and then got back into education. He was like over the alternative school.
Okay.
The whole time my mother was a teacher. She retired and went to teaching in the prison system, and then came back to the school system. So education has been my whole life. Well, I've seen it my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a teacher at heart.
Was this all down in the valley where your parents taught?
Well, they taught their first job out of college. They went to college in Waco and was down in the valley teaching. And then they kind of, like I said, migrated up. They were in Lake Jackson, Freeport, Cleveland area. And then they went to the Sweeney School District, which is where I went to school district.
And so from there, you went to SMU.
Correct.
So did you go there on a full scholarship?
I did. I went there on a football scholarship, but I also ran track. Coming out, I was recruited to be a track athlete or a football athlete. I chose SMU because they allowed me to do both. And education-wise, I wanted to be a business major, and so I have a great business school there. So it worked out. It was away from home, but it was close enough to still have access. So I was like, that was a good choice.
To bring your laundry back.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got, I was reading, you got your degree in marketing and psychology.
Correct. I have 2 undergrads in marketing and psychology, and I have a master's in liberal arts. So.
Oh wow, jeez, man!
All paid for it. So I have no student loans. I'm happy about that.
Hell yeah!
Thankful I was athletic enough to get the full ride to SMU, but I used my time wisely. So I redshirted as a freshman, meaning, for those that don't know, basically,
explain that.
You don't play on the team. You're part of the team, but you don't play. They're giving you that time to develop. I was kind of upset because that's why I chose SMU, so I can play right away. But I mean, at the end of the day, it all worked out. If you look at hindsight of 2020, right?
Yeah.
So I redshirted, but I used that time, and during the summers, I would take classes during the summers, all paid for, obviously. And I graduated in 4 years with my 2 undergrads.
Wow.
And then so that 5th year, when I played as a senior, I started my master's program. I was blessed enough to get drafted into the NFL, and the NFL has a continuing education program.
Wow,
so
I didn't know that.
I utilized that to finish my master's degree, and while I was playing in the NFL, all paid for. So I'm happy I have no student loans for my school.
Yeah. There's a lot of kids saddled with a lot of debt from going, especially a good school like that.
I want to know what that day looked like, the day that you were drafted in the NFL.
I mean, it was a low key day actually, because I was actually in a class. I was taking classes for my master's. I was working on a paper because I got calls. It was back in the day when I got drafted. It was 2 days. It was day
so
one.
ESPN wasn't right there on you.
No, I didn't have a draft party. My agent was like, "Do you want to put one together?" Such forth. And I was like, "No, I'm just.
I got work.
I got to get this paper done. I got to get it turned in." So I was real low key. I got a couple calls first day from the Raiders, from Green Bay Packers.
Wow.
Like, we were thinking about taking you in round 2, late round 1, round 3, or whatnot. And I was like, okay, fine, that's cool. Kind of excited. And then I didn't get that. I didn't get that call. I got one call. They kind of said it, and they was like, "Let me call you back." And they hung up, and it was Raiders. And it was kind of, I thought that I was going to get drafted by the Raiders because their MO is they draft speed, and that's kind of what I was known for was speed. And I didn't get a call back, and so I was like, "Well, am I going to go or not?" And so I was like, "Well, I'm just going to write on my paper." And I worked on it the next day, and out the blue, I was upstairs in my room, and my dad said, "Hey, Kevin, you got a call." They knew they had talked to him, whatever, and I got on. It was Lovie Smith, who's actually the head coach of the Texans now. He was the defensive coordinator for the Rams. He's like, "Hey, what do you think about being a St. Louis Ram?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah, sounds good to me.
So he talked to me for a little bit. Then he put Mike Martz on. He was the head coach of the Rams in. And I talked to Mike Martz, and they talked about, when the rookies are coming in, get you in and everything like that. And so that was kind of a exciting experience to be drafted. You know, part of 1%. I forget the statistic. I see it all the time. It's like there's so many thousands of high school students that want to go into the collegiate football league,
right,
or sports in general, and only a certain percentage of those get scholarships,
right,
and then only a certain percentage of those actually make it to the next level, and then the percentage of those actually get drafted. Things on like 300 draft spots or whatever.
Yeah.
And out of all of those, you're that top 1%. So that was kind of
it's got to be like 0.0001%. If you think about high school kids versus kids that go to the NFL. I mean, how did you feel when you were talking to the head coach of the Rams? I mean, it actually makes me nervous thinking about it. I was like, oh, damn, that would be a hard conversation.
This actually happened, you know? I mean, it's like, you know, I would say most kids dream of being, you know, professional athlete or something that's like, you know, famous or whatever.
Yeah.
So just for a kid from a small town, we didn't really win a lot of games at SMU. So death penalty post-death penalty is where I came in. So weren't really that on the map as a college or athletic wise. So it was kind of impressive. It was an impressive feat to accomplish, and you know, I was pretty happy.
How many other players from SMU have gone on to the NFL? Do you know?
Oh man, they're winning back again now. So I mean, they every year there's at least, you know, a couple players that are in the NFL from the SMU teams. But I mean, when I came out, I mean, it wasn't that many, so it was kind of a good accomplishment to achieve at that point in time.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. I know there's kids probably going to listen to this and think, I'd love to have that call one day.
Yeah, you know.
What do you feel about the college players being able to be paid?
Oh man, I would need to get some back pay going on. I mean, at the end of the day,
do you think it compromises the integrity of the game? And that's what I like most about college ball. It's like it's like they're not doing it to show off their Nikes or whatever. You know, they're doing it because of the love of the game.
That's a great you know. I was part of the debate team. Actually, side note, when I was in school, you know, they had the UIL. I was part of the debate team. That's a great debate topic that you could probably debate about. My take on it is that you can look at it both ways, right? So as a student, it's hard to wake up 5, 6, 7 a.m., go work out, get food, go make, depending if you got your A or B schedule, you got your 2 or 4 class or 3 class or whatever that day, go to class, go to meetings, go back to class, eat lunch, go to meetings, go back to class, go to practice, and you're at practice, you know, probably, you know, 2.5, 3 hours. After practice, you have more meetings, then you got to eat, then you got to do your homework. It's hard to, like, if I'm a regular student, I don't have that schedule. I can get a second job to support myself if need be. So if you're looking at it as a student athlete, it's like, man, I'm wasting all this. I mean, yes, you do get a free education, but at the same time, it's hard to kind of support yourself. As an institution-wise, like, I'm giving you, well, SMU especially, they're the most expensive school in the state of Texas to go to.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We're giving, it's like, I forgot what I looked it up just recently, and it's I think when I was in, it was like $30,000 a year. Now it's like 80 something. It's like crazy.
Jeez.
You're looking at, I'm giving you this free education, free gear, free travel. Everything's paid for. You should be grateful for it. So I can see it in both aspects. But at the same time, when you look at it on a bigger scale, NCAA as a whole is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and a lot of the head executives are, you know, capitalizing on that when a lot of kids are getting injured. They don't have health care, you know, things like that. So it's kind of like
you have to earn your scholarship every year, right?
Exactly, every year. So, I mean, some kid might get a scholarship taken away because he got injured, and now, you know, it's kind of, you know, that's what that kid has known since he was probably in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. And
that's rough if you think about it. It's like your whole life goes in that direction, and they push you to the point where you get injured, and then they take away everything that you have aspired to do. That's got to be rough.
So
mentally,
so you can see it both ways, right?
Yeah,
so it's a matter of kind of, you know, they're getting NIL. So now it's not technically the college is paying them money. Now it's kind of like you have that marketing aspect. I mean, it's decent. I mean, think of it as a second job. I mean, I actually worked a job while I was in college. I know what time.
I know. When did you do that?
So I mean, so I had a great college experience. So I'm not saying you can't like experience the nightlife and be a college student, because that's time for you to explore yourself and experience yourself.
Sure.
But it's about time management, right? So I mean, I had all that scheduled because I ran track in the spring and I played football in the fall.
Wow.
But I worked at the rec center as my part-time job, and I used that time to do my laundry. I probably shouldn't say that now. I did my laundry at the rec center, and I did that time to do my homework or whatever, all while I was on the clock. So it kind of worked out for me. So I mean, I have no complaints about my collegiate experience.
You know what? I think there's a little bit of a false impression. Some people think football players go to college and they just skate through the classes and they don't. You put your nose to the grindstone when you were in school. You went after it.
I think, like I said, it's probably from. I mean, I'm education family, you know.
Yeah.
So
the parental influence really helped. Your dad was probably like, "You will."
That's a good point to bring up. I mean, like when I told you that freshman year when I redshirted, I wanted to leave SMU. I was like, no, I'm not staying here. They promised me all this, and so I was talking to some other coaches from some other colleges, and they were like wanting me to come. I know that's probably like considered tampering or whatever, so I was getting more information. But I was still talking, man, and he was like, "No, this was your decision you made. You got to follow it through." You know, just kind of that fatherly
your
wisdom.
folks said that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so great. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, like I say, it all worked out. Yeah. But I mean, who knows if I would have transferred, would I have been able to be a 4-year starter or do the things that I did while I was at SMU? Yeah, just gotta use.
It was all in God's timing. You had to just be patient.
Exactly.
Be patient.
Exactly. And that's one thing to teach the kids now is hey, you don't have to jump around. I mean, every situation is different. Sometimes you may have a better situation somewhere else. However, that situation that you're in, if you can actually work a little bit harder, apply yourself a little bit more, keep working, good things come to those who work. So it's just kind of when I talk to other kids, when I do my public speaking and stuff, hey, that's something that you can look forward to. If it's something that you truly do want, implement a goal or implement a plan and follow that plan, and then work hard at it. Nothing's going to be given to you. A lot of people think it's going to be given to them, but no, you have to actually put the work in. And good things happen to those people that work, man.
You just gave us the title of this episode. Good things come to those who work. Because that is so true. It's people think that things just happen to you, absolutely. But if you put in the time, good things will come.
Mm-hmm. I want you to tell me about your first time stepping on an NFL field with the crowd, the energy. Your parents are probably in the stands, right? And how was that feeling for you just internally, just stepping out? Were you just like in the moment or were you just like, holy crap, I hope I don't screw this up?
Like, you get those goosebumps, you get those chills.
I actually got goosebumps thinking about it. Yeah.
Just, I mean, alone, I'll get to that one, but just thinking that when they flew all the rookies out, right?
Uh-huh.
And we walk into the locker room, and at the time, I'm not thinking about, how many, like, you think about it, how many Hall of Famers I was on the team with at the time I was there in St. Louis. It was St. Louis Rams, for those who don't know. Now it's LA Rams. Right. I'm kind of dating myself. I was in the 2003 draft, so I don't feel old, but I mean, technically, if you look at the math.
You're not old, Kevin. You're not old.
If you look at the math, over 20 years.
There's an old guy sitting over here on this side of the table.
But yeah, you look at it, my locker was like 4 lockers down from Kurt Warner. I was 2 lockers down from Marshall Faulk. I was 2 lockers down the other way from Aeneas Williams, another Hall of Famer. And then on the other side, you had Orlando Pace, a Hall of Famer. Wow. You had Isaac Bruce, who just got inducted last year. You got Torrey Holt, who's up for it this year, eligible. So, I mean, we're in the locker room with, 6, 7 Hall of Famers. And it's like, your eyes just get wide. And, you just get that butterfly feeling like, I'm actually a part of this, And then once you get into it, it's like, this is me, And so we're athletes and movie stars and entertainers or just everyday people. But, when you first get that initial shock, it's like, wow, I'm a part of this, a part of this community now. And just kind of go from there,
You felt like you belonged.
I did at that point, man. I was like, I put the work in.
You did.
And kind of like I say, what I mentioned earlier, I was known for speed, right? So that year when I was drafted, that 2003, I had the fastest 40-yard dash time in the combine.
Wow.
And I could have ran faster. People don't really realize this that don't know, that just look at the numbers. I actually slipped when I ran that time. So that's why I ran faster at my pro day. So I went 4.31 at the combine. You hit 2 runs. I went 4.3 flat and the 4.32. So they averaged it out. That's why I got the 4.31. At my pro day, I went 4.24. And so I was a speed guy. That's kind of what helped me. Half my senior year, I didn't really play because I was injured. So that's kind of, I think, why my draft stock dropped. Going into my senior season, I was the number 4 rated corner coming out. Guy who played a long time for the Cowboys and some other team, Vikings. He was the number 1 rated cornerback. And so, just being a part of that group, then you get a little sense of confidence about yourself, But it's just a matter of believing in yourself executing and going out there. My professional career wasn't as good as my collegiate career. I stayed injured, so that's kind of what hurt me. Every year I played, I got an injury, so it didn't really last that long. But being a part of that was just a great experience, and I wouldn't change anything for the world
great.
other than staying healthy.
I have a very important burning question that's been in my head for many, many years. So if you're on the field and you have to pee, what do you do?
I mean,
you just have to wait till halftime?
Some people have different methods, right? You know, some people take a little jog in if they can,
Okay.
or some people actually just go right there in their pants. Man.
Oh my god!
Actually, I had a story. One of our linemen. He was like, I was like, man, I gotta go, man. I gotta go. He's like, man, just pee in your pants, man. You're good. I'm peeing right now.
True stories of the NFL.
Because you're sweating, right? You're sweating. You can't
Nobody
really
can tell.
Nobody
Oh
can
god,
tell.
how'd you like to run into that guy the next time? Jeez.
The burning questions, Michelle.
Right. Kevin, the NFL is it like everybody thinks? Is it all glitz and glamour? Is it a little bit cutthroat? What's it like, really?
Definitely cutthroat. So, I think you mentioned kind of like when we were talking about the NIL deals about, it takes away from the amateur status where it's for the love of the game, right? So you can see a lot of fan bases in collegiate sports where, the community comes in and you see all the mascots and the sea of red or yellow, whatever you're playing. And then Little League, you go out there for the fun of it. It's not all political. It's just, I just want to go out there and play. And then you get to the NFL, it's a business.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you got people who are veterans who've been there for multiple years. You got people who are just getting there trying to earn a spot, and that's their livelihood. And the NFL is one of the only professional sports that does not have guaranteed contracts. The only guaranteed money comes in your signing bonus. So that's why you're seeing, like, you see those big multi-million-dollar contracts. Those aren't guaranteed contracts. They have a lot of incentives and clauses in those contracts that they have to achieve in order to get that pay. The only guaranteed money is that signing bonus. And even if they won't, if that signing bonus didn't get that, then they have to work with that contract. If they get hurt and there's no clause in the contract saying we can pay you this, whatever, that's it.
That sounds a little like my setup with Steve.
It is. It's true. You don't do the work, you don't get paid.
Exactly. But,
right.
but if you
I
look
just
at
go pee in my
basketball,
pants.
but if you look at basketball and baseball, MLB and NBA, they have guaranteed contracts. I mean, it's like, if something happens or they get cut or whatever, they're still guaranteed that money. So.
That's funny to me because the whole business model is to push the human body as far as possible on the field, right? Yeah. They're trying to get everything out of you they can. Yep. And that's a knife edge, right? Because a little bit too much and you get injured. Yeah. And you did, right?
Yeah.
I think you had a hamstring injury.
So my rookie year, this was in preseason. I had a real good camp. Like I was, that's why I actually didn't get cut or put on the practice squad. I was actually on the active man roster as a rookie in my second year too. But I got hurt in the second preseason game. I was running down on special teams. That's how we kind of make your mark as a young player. And I made a big hit. It made like the highlights and stuff on ESPN and everything. And I broke my wrist and I actually messed my knee up. So I had to have my knee scoped out. And so that you would think if something like that, well, then I'm going to either get cut or I'm going to get put on the practice squad or put on injured reserve. Well, I had such a good camp. They wanted to keep me on the active roster. So I didn't. So basically what that means when I say injured reserve, at the time, it's a little bit different now. But if you go on injured reserve, you cannot come back. Well, you couldn't come back for the rest of the season. You'd have to sit out, and you only got like a quarter or a half of your salary or whatever. So I didn't want to do that anyway, but they didn't do it. Or they can cut you and they can bring you back to the organization and put you on what's called a practice squad. So now you're like a practice.
I got you.
People go against you and things, or a scout team. And so I was thinking, okay, well, they're going to probably just cut me because, I was a 5th round pick out of SMU. I got hurt. But like I said, I was confident going in and everything, and I had a great camp. And so they did not cut me. They did not put me on IR. Basically, I got my surgery and I was out for the first 8 weeks of the season.
Okay. And
I came back the second half. I had to play with a boxing, wrap my wrist, a soft shell, and I played with a boxing glove wrapped up on my hand. I had to learn how to do everything with my left hand.
Wow.
And I had a knee brace on, so I played the last 8 games on special teams.
Okay.
And then following that next year, my second year, I had a hamstring injury, and I had a mid-foot fracture. And, obviously the game, I had a couple of concussions. I went down. A lot of special team play.
I want to ask you about that. Go ahead, finish it.
And then the next year, it was my other hamstring. So it's just this. Every year it was
broke.
knee.
You broke.
Knee, both knees.
That's got to be pretty common though in the NFL, right? That guys are always even the best guys always have some nagging injury, right?
Yeah. I tell people, once you decide to play a professional sport like football or something that's contact, you're never going to feel 100% the rest of your life.
Yeah,
it's going to be something.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, what I was going to get to was CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. I was reading a story that 99% of the guys that have been in the NFL have some amount of CTE. 99%.
When you think about it, I haven't done much research into. I saw the movie with Will Smith in it, Concussion or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, but you think about it. From that movie, I kind of learned a little bit about it. So your brain is in your skull, right?
Right.
And there's no there's liquid that's keeping it around, right? So if I do this, it's going to shake a little bit. So anytime you have helmets on, back in the day, they teach you now is different type of techniques to tackle and things. Right. But back in the day, it was smash mouth football. You put your head on them, so it's like you think every time from a little kid playing football up to, if you happen to make professional league, your head is hitting your skull. Your brain is hitting your skull multiple times every day.
Every day.
That's practice.
Practice games.
Exactly. So it's kind of like that statistic. I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me because if your brain has that contact with your skull every single day, something is going to go wrong.
I probably did that when I hit the wall.
You did, yeah. I actually think you do it almost every day, Michelle. Yeah, but the stats are 99% of NFL players have some amount of CTE. 91% of college and 21% of high school kids have some amount of CTE, as
he's telling this story, I'm just thinking of Tate and how many times.
Well, that's kind of Kevin. That's the next question I was going to ask you. So knowing that and and what you just described,
and what you do now,
and so you're obviously training high school athletes. How do you feel about that?
I mean, if you're so. Where I feel about that, if you play scared, that's when injuries happen. Yeah. So at the end of the day, if you take all the precautions, my son, he's playing soccer now. I'm trying to get his speed, agility, quickness up, his hand-eye coordination, and then I want him to play football. But if he doesn't want to play, I won't force him. I won't be that dad. But he likes football. But at the end of the day, as they're younger, you can develop other skills, and when they get older, if they have that interest, we'll teach them properly first and foremost, and then let them play. Yeah. But at a young age, you can just learn how to play right. You play flag football.
The only concussion I've ever had in my life that I know about is from heading a soccer ball.
But you think about that heading, you still had some form of brain.
Oh, I know I did. It just about knocked me out. Yeah, it was like big high ball coming down the field, and I tried to head it into the net, and I fell on my ass.
I think about hitting you daily with something in the back of the head, so I don't know.
Coming up behind me, whack. I think about that too. None of my kids played football, but now knowing this research is coming, there's memory loss, concentration issues, and even physical issues like losing control.
Yeah. So wrestling, Tate wrestling, and everything else.
It's a contact sport.
I've never played football, but I love watching it. I don't like the NFL as much as I used to because of some of the stuff that's going on. But it's such a cool sport where guys, high performance athletes, try and achieve these great things on the field in front of all these people. It's really cool to watch.
That's what I was asking you, like that feeling when you stepped on that field, like as a parent, when I've seen my kids accomplish something like that, like the feeling I feel as a parent, but then like to translate into what you were feeling, like, was it just like, damn, I made it? Or was it like, holy crap, I hope I don't screw up? And it's just, when you were talking about sitting in that locker room and looking at all those people, like you kind of had that, oh crap, I'm here.
Yeah,
I did it.
It's a mixture of all of that, right? It's like you don't want to screw up, because you're as a young person, your reps are limited. you have to prove yourself. When you prove yourself, then you can get more. You have more leeway to mess up a little bit. But as a young person, it's like I got to make a name for myself. I got to prove myself. I can't mess up. I got to make these plays. And then it's like, oh wow, if you come from a Power 5 or a big college where they see every single weekend, they see big crowds or whatever. Yeah. It's probably a little bit more common for them. SMU, we didn't fill the stands at all, so it's kind of like you probably have some 6A high schools that probably have more attendance at their games than we did when I was playing. Actually, a little fun fact, when I was a freshman, redshirt freshman, our home games were in the Cotton Bowl, and then they built that brand new stadium, the first version of it. They're extending it now on the campus, and that's kind of we did that. But yeah, I mean, we didn't really have that many attendance, and so you go out there, you play a game. It's not like it's a day of practice, but it's just a game. It's something different. Yeah, when you go to a full stadium with just lights, bright lights, and everything. It's like.
Who was your first opponent? Who did you play against?
I'm trying. That's so long ago. I don't remember. So I mean,
that was a test, and now you failed.
Yeah. I got CTE right.
I was gonna kind of going back to what you were saying, Kevin. Who's the wide receiver that played for San Francisco Rice? What's his?
Jerry Rice. Yeah,
Jerry Rice.
I played against Jerry Rice in his prime. Well, not in his prime, on his downward slope. Yeah. He was with the Raiders when I played against him. When I played against the 49ers, Terrell Owens was with the 49ers. He was the big receiver there.
But I remember seeing him on TV when he was probably a little bit past his prime, and he said, I still go out on the field every day and play like I could lose my job if I don't perform today. And I thought, that's pretty cool, really.
Maybe the Cowboys
have that
need
mindset,
to
right?
Take that mindset, because the Cowboys, we're the biggest fair weather Cowboys fans. Yeah, let me tell you.
I think there's a lot of fair weather Cowboy fans.
I think last year should have been their year to do something. They just got. I think the 49ers beat them in that. Actually, my wife, myself, and my son's 7 and my daughter is 5. We all went to Dallas, and we went to that playoff game. Not saying we're Dallas Cowboys fans. Yes. We like going to just sporting activities. We'll fly to Denver and go watch just to get out and just go watch sporting activities. And we went to that playoff game and it was like down to the wire. I think that
was infuriating.
Deebo Samuel scored that touchdown. It was like, oh man! But if they would have won that game, I think they might would have made it to the Super Bowl.
I think I was at one point. So. I was standing on my couch,
yelling at the TV.
So many fans crying and everything. It's like, oh,
we were so pissed off.
It's the modern day Coliseum when you think about it. Fans get so into it, right? They're just.
Oh, my husband was.
It's like
pissed.
Yeah, I know, but it can change your demeanor. What happens on that TV could just change.
Dude, you don't own the Cowboys.
Right.
We always say we probably shouldn't say this on podcast, but we always say somebody gonna die in that organization, so that organization comes back. So what you're doing now, as far as with some of our high school athletes, you own Swift Sessions.
Correct.
And you are training these kids up, like what you were saying earlier, the proper way, the proper techniques. And I watched your video on your website, and you're saying you're basically taking the things that you've learned and you're repackaging them for something that they understand. Not necessarily, you're not taking an NFL workout for these kids, but you're taking something at their level and teaching them the correct way.
Exactly. And that's kind of, so just to reiterate for those listening, I do own Swift Sessions. It's a sport performance gym here in Dripping Springs, Texas. We cater to the greater area, not just Dripping Springs.
Do you have a location? You have an actual...
Yes, it's a 391 Sportsplex Drive, right up the street from Dripping Springs High School, across from the fire station. And so basically, I train athletes or people who want to be athletes. You don't have to necessarily be a part of an organized team, but if you want to come in and train like an athlete, basically.
I'm raising my hand.
Functional fitness.
That's me.
Is there sweating involved?
maybe not. But yeah, from elementary kids up to, I've trained professional and collegiate athletes as well. Huh. And so basically, what I say separates me from other trainers. Lots of great trainers in Dripping Springs. I'm very good friends with lots of them. But what separates me in my mind is that I have the certifications like every other trainer, but I have professional athlete experience at a high level. Some of these people may have been, collegiate athletes and whatnot. Some people may have been part of a team or got that experience, but
you're a big dog.
I like to think that.
You've been there. Right. You've been in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
So I take the training that I've received and they've received or whatnot, and I just kind of implement that. But I can have real life experience. I know if you're tired and somebody that's kind of technically been by the book, it's like, you got to do this, you got to do this. I can tell when your output's going to be, not so good.
It's important.
Or I can tell when you need a little push and you just don't feel like it. I can understand how an athlete thinks.
If you ain't throwing up, you ain't growing up.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, how much of the training you do with these kids is mental?
Like it is. Everything is mental when you think about it. I mean, our bodies are designed to be machines, right? It can withstand a lot of stuff. But if your mind doesn't allow it to, then it won't happen. That can take part in the classroom, on the field, or whatever business. You can be tired, but you got to get something done. Sometimes that midnight hour research paper, you want to get it done. You're gonna get it done.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Do you know who David Goggins is?
I do.
Yeah.
I listen to. I haven't read his books. I listen to his podcast. Yeah. But
he tells a great story about he trained this guy, and it was like this uber wealthy guy hires David Goggins to come in and train him, and he says, okay, we're going to do pull-ups, and the guy do as many as you can. He does like 25. And the guy's like, I can't do any more. And David gives him like 10 seconds. He goes, give me 10 more. And he does 10 more. And the guy, I can't do any more. And that goes on for like half an hour. And the moral of it is when you think you're done, you're not, you're just barely scratching the surface, right?
Yeah,
you got so much more to give.
That's real estate life too.
I know, it's true. I don't stop. I can't do it anymore.
So earlier we were talking about Austin Novosad, the quarterback for Dripping Springs. And do you have any experience? Have you touched your hands on that kid?
So, he's come in, I would say about 80-85% of the varsity players I've seen them at some point in time in their career. I've done his speed. I have not done any of his quarterback development. Yeah. But I have worked with him in speed and agility and some strength training as well.
What do you do? So you're teaching somebody to be faster. What kind of stuff do you do to teach them that?
That's what I was exactly going to ask. It's like, how much of it is just like God-given, you're born with it?
Is it the training, or is it technique, or is it both?
Yeah, great question. So, a lot of people are blessed with great genetics, right? People say you can't teach speed, but you can teach speed. And the reason why is this, because you have to learn what is speed, right? So, basically it's frequency times distance, so you can get a little bit more technical with the force and the velocity and the mass and all that kind of stuff like that. But if I can teach you how to be more mobile or get more range of motion in your body movements, how to control your body and move it in a certain way, and I can teach you to create force or get stronger, well, then you're going to get faster. So basically what we do in our program, it's a comprehensive program. We teach mobility, we teach strength, and we teach mechanics. So you put those together, you're going to get faster. Now, your version of fast may not be as fast as somebody who's genetically gifted, but you're going to be a faster, better version of what you were. And so that's kind of the mentality that we have. Be your better self, compare yourself to somebody else.
Well, and some of these kids that are probably not the best athletes, but they have the best mental attitude, can be the best players, right? You don't always have to have the best ability and the best genetics to be the best player.
That's a great point. So when you to the NFL level, right? So you have some of these older guys who've been around the league for a long time. It's like, why are they still here? I'm way better athlete than this kid. So the higher level you get, it's more mental. It's like being a student of the game. They make plays because they know what's going to happen. Yeah. So whereas somebody who's younger and they're in the party lifestyle and they don't study and I'm just fast and I'm big and I'm strong, I can make plays and they aren't producing. Well, it's because that mental aspect probably hasn't clicked in. If you have that athleticism, giftedness, and you become a student of the game, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, soccer, volleyball, whatever sport you play, well, then you're going to be able to put yourself in position to make those plays while being a great
That's cool.
athlete. So
what I was thinking of, looking at Michelle, but that's just like our real estate. It's like I've been doing this 20 years, and it's like I am a student of the real estate game. And so when I go up against somebody that's new, I can beat them every time, and not because of more enthusiasm or whatever, because I know how to play the game a little bit better. Exactly. And I've got the staying power.
You know what I was thinking about when he was talking about that, and we talked about this before, was when Tate was wrestling and Tate was in football. He's my middle kid, and he wasn't the best at what he did in wrestling. I used to say, imagine what you could do if you actually friggin' applied yourself. But then he graduated high school, he goes into the Coast Guard, and all of a sudden his body or his body and his mental aspect kind of aligned. Yep. They caught up with each other. And he became the youngest rescue swimmer in the Coast Guard. He was, 19 years old when he was the rescue swimmer. And it was just all of a sudden.
Well, the military knows about the mental aspect.
Oh yeah, they do. They'll push you and challenge you, and you just you form to it. I mean, running so my brother, he was in ROTC at A&M, and he's as part of the he reports every month or every quarter or whatnot. And then my uncles and my grandfather, they were all military, Marines and Army. My nephew, he's Navy, and so a lot of military around me. Mm-hmm. I always tell people I didn't get drafted into the military. I got drafted in the NFL. So
but it is sort of the same kind of thing. They teach you to be at the top of your game.
Discipline,
to bring you back up.
Discipline, discipline. It goes along, and that's you need discipline in everything, athletics, academics, business, things like that. So
tell some of our younger athletes that are going to want to listen to you, talk to us about rest. How important is rest, and what does proper rest look like?
That is a great point.
Because that's where I like to live. I like to live.
So you can't rest 100% of the time.
Thin line between rest and being lazy.
Yeah, raining on my parade.
So it's something. It's a good topic to bring up, because you think about it. When you look at like youth sports, right, or amateur sports, when you include high school and things like that, they're year round. So the kids, like if you play soccer year round, if you play baseball year round, or you play volleyball year round, when are you going to get time to rest? When are you going to get time to develop your body?
Yeah, you
need time to develop your body to withstand the load that you're putting on the body. You need time to decompress so your body can catch up, and then you go through your season or whatever, and then you still need maintenance during your season, because your body's was taking no matter what sport, volleyball, soccer, track, football, baseball, your body is getting beat up in different ways or another. Mm-hmm. So you need your body to develop to withstand that and perform at a high performance.
Yeah.
Now your body can only take so much, right? I can stay up. I think what it's like is it's like 2.5 days without sleep before my body starts to breaking down. Sure. Not me personally, but in general, right? Yeah. So,
hey, plan a wedding. I can do it. I can beat you.
Right. So you're like physically, like scientifically, your body can stay up for so long without breaking down. Mm-hmm. So now let's translate that without getting like actual like REM sleep, right? So let's translate that to like the physical aspect, right? If you never make your body stronger, or take care of your muscles and your ligaments and everything that's moving, and you're constantly on the go, and if you're specializing in a certain sport year round, and that same muscle is being used day in and day out, practice, travel, games, things like that, well then that's where you see an uptick in a lot of youth sport injuries, because they're not getting that recovery, that rest, and they're not getting that development time. They're just playing. Youth sports is a multi-billion-dollar industry, so I can understand why the leagues and stuff are having all these games, and all the teams are forming and all that kind of. I mean, I own a youth track club as well. We train year round, but we do have phases where we factor in recovery, active recovery, strength development phase, a base phase to get stronger to do, so you can't just go.
That's called
have proper
periodization, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So if you have a trainer, or you have a club or whatever, and there's no actual programming that you're following, no knock against them. They may be great with community and everything, but that's not designed to develop you as an athlete.
So I did triathlon pretty seriously when I was younger. And
did you run?
Shut up. the periodization back then, this would have been like in late 80s, early 90s. The periodization was you ramped up your training slowly over time, and then you got injured. Seriously. And then you would have to rest for whatever period of time to get back. And then you would ramp up your training and you'd get injured. We all did that. We would, do these crazy workouts, and then one of us would get injured. You'd be forced to take time off. So this new model where you sort of monitor your body and you push it, but then you rest and you grow. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
That's the way.
So you think about it, make muscles growing, right? If you're in strength training, you want to get bigger muscles or whatever, right? So the whole purpose of lifting weights is to tear that muscle down.
Yeah.
And you don't do that same muscle group back to back, because now that muscle has to repair to withstand the load that it was just under. Yeah. So if you never give it time to repair, that's when you're going to get injured. Yeah. So that's kind of why the whole premise behind that, in a nutshell, like a little, I guess, Cliff Notes version of it. But so just think about your body. You're breaking your body down. Give it time to react.
Kevin, I walk down the hallway and I trip and fall into the wall. I don't have to do anything outside of the AC unit. Just listening to what he says, that's my life right there.
It is totally is you. That's totally
push,
you.
Push. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
So, you are so accomplished in all of your athleticism and just you're very well spoken. But then now you're an author.
Hey, I tell people I stay active to keep me out of trouble. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. You can kind of blame my parents. My mother she was English teacher.
Yeah, they've done an awful job raising you.
I know, right?
Your parents.
So I've always wanted to say write a book or something like that. It's kind of always in the back of your mind, right? But this book, the first book that I just wrote, was kind of spurred. It kind of was brought up. We live in Dripping Springs, so let's address the elephant in the room.
How long ago did you write this? First off,
when did I write that? It's a few months old. It's not even that.
Okay.
Not even a
and
year.
It's called
Scoops of Life.
Scoops of Life.
Yeah.
Okay.
So elephant in the room. I live in Dripping Springs. I'm a black person, African American, right? My wife's from Canada. I have a biracial family, so I have biracial kids. And there's not a lot of diversity in Dripping Springs.
It's true.
Okay. When we first, I mentioned how we got here, we found Dripping Springs. It was affordable. You can get more here than you can get anywhere else at the time. And I looked at the demographics. I was like,
white bread.
yes, it was like point. It was like 0.01.
Yeah.
I was like, I looked at my wife and said, do you really want to live here?
Yeah.
So, but we got here and it's like, at least I haven't experienced it to my face. Maybe behind, I don't know. Hopefully not behind my back. But I'm saying, but to my face, it's been a great experience.
Yeah.
It's a great community to live in. I would recommend, if you are African American or minority, Hispanic, whatever, move here. It's great for now, if you can afford it now.
Yeah.
If it goes back down. But it is what it is. But my son was kind of going through some racism at his school, and at the time,
was that in Dripping?
It was in Dripping.
Oh wow.
And so it all kind of happened at the same time, because I don't know if y'all are on the evil Facebook out there.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Or should I say the Dripping Springs neighbors group.
That's it. Yeah.
And somebody posted about something something happened at the high school, and it was a big uproar or whatever. And at the same time, maybe 2 weeks later, I saw it on Facebook. I didn't say anything, respond to that, but I saw 2 weeks later, my son had an issue. And they were making fun of him because they said his hair was different and, things like that. And then my son had a lot of issues with his self-esteem and stuff. It's like, I don't want to be black and all this. Like, you have to embrace your heritage, right? It's not, it's not, and then try to teach him not to see color. Everybody's human, things like that. And so all this is kind of happening at the same time. And so, and then trying to get my son how to learn how to read, how to tie a shoe and all that stuff like that. So you know what? How about I write a children's book? We can read that and he can learn about, self-love and learn about being different and how, everybody's different, but hey, we're all human. We're all, great people. If some people are great people, some people are not, but that's a different subject. But you can learn to love everybody.
Let's list all the non-great people right now.
But yeah, so that's kind of how that book came about, is that, a lot of stuff was going on in that area. And then, like I say, my kids, he was trying to learn how to read and things like that. So that's where the children's book came in. This next book that I have coming up, it'll be out probably next few months. It's more of a motivational type book for older people. And so that's
your age,
because,
Steve.
Older
people.
Definitely.
And people who train with me, they know I'm the king of one-liners. I like to say a lot of one-liners and a lot of motivational and things, because like you mentioned, everything's mental.
Right.
And so if you can mentally accomplish something, you're more tuned to get it physically.
And mantras, right?
Exactly,
Mantras are really big. When you're going through something tough, if you have that thing in your head that you can. Yeah. I used to, when I would do marathons, for a period of time, I had one that was, don't be a beep, the P word.
Yeah.
And so when I was really suffering, like, don't be a, you know what?
Don't be a meow meow.
Yes, exactly.
You know what my
but then
mantra
I had a coach, and he said, no, you don't want it to be something negative. You want it to be something positive. You know, like you're strong or you're feeling good. But I just kept going back. Don't be a, you know what?
Mine this weekend was I will not yell at anybody. I will not yell at anybody. I will not yell at
Failed.
Wait, did you accomplish that?
Hell no, Kev. you got to know Michelle.
I yelled at my
She
kids.
thought it, and then 30 seconds later, she did it.
I yelled at my kids, but that was it.
So the book. So just kind of give us the gist of it. I know you just kind of did, but so
it's kind of based on like my son dealing with, you know, self-love issues, but it's definitely, and based off kind of like my upbringing. Like, you know, like I was a bubble baby growing up. So me actually becoming a professional athlete was kind of like, wow, you actually, so that's kind of when you ask me that question, a lot of things that I have accomplished are like just perseverance and overcoming naysayers and a whole life of just overcoming, which is kind of the basis of the next book I have coming.
Yeah.
But like I have eczema, I have skin discoloration, you know, I'm battling lymphoma, a lot of things people don't really realize, just because, you know, I'm all about positive mentality. So if I keep pushing and portray, you know, everything positivity, I mean, everything kind of just falls in place, you know. So, and just, you know, like I say, good things come to those who work. So I'm going to keep working and doing what I want to do to make things that I want to happen. Yeah. But the book, you know, it's based off ice cream. Who does not like ice cream, right? I mean, unless you're like, you know,
I love ice cream. I can't eat ice cream.
But you can get soft serve. My wife is actually vegan. She's actually a crazy person that actually doesn't eat meat. So I mean, she does the, you know, the non-dairy stuff, and we like soft serve. Like we try to take our kids and get all the ice cream and stuff like that. But
soft serve doesn't have dairy in it.
Well, you have some non-dairy soft serve. Oh. Actually, one of my neighbors actually owns an ice cream shop on the corner of, what is this, 12 and Hamilton Pool Road. It's called
I know where it is.
It's called Ice Cream Shop
by Carmela's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they own that right there. And so
Steve likes broccoli flavored ice cream.
Shut up.
Well, he'd be good friends with my wife. She's got a weird taste palette. But yeah, so it's just kind of like, you know, there's different flavors of ice cream, right? And so one person might like one flavor, another person might like another flavor, but at the end of the day, you both like ice cream.
Everybody likes ice cream.
Have you been able to share this in the schools and read?
I sent the email out to the school district, every elementary school in the school district. But like I said, the book came like toward the end of the school year, and they said all their author visits were all booked up. So I'm gonna, if you have any connections, I would love to get this into the schools.
Right now I think we're gonna have
we have some connections.
We're gonna have one of the school board members on, but this is an amazing book.
It is, yeah. Though I wanted to talk about that. When I moved here in 2003, you're talking about racism in the schools. I grew up as a Navy brat. So, you know, when you're in the military, you know, I grew up, I had all different races of friends, and I didn't grow up really thinking about them as any different. Right, exactly. But when I moved to Dripping, some of the old school Dripping Springs folks.
The Hatfield and McCoys.
There was a couple times people would talk to me and say things, and I would be like, I can't believe that person just said that. It was despicable, and disgusting things. It's a lot better now. Yeah. I think, you know, we're a lot more diverse, even though it's still probably when you moved here now, it's 0.02. Yeah. But, you know, it's still a lot better. And you know, your son going through that, I think some of that, not all of it, but some of it is kids look for the weak spots and pick on those weak spots. Because I remember when I was a kid, you know, I was skinny and, you know, I had frizzy hair. And so, you know, I hope
you had frizzy hair, that beautiful mane over there.
Yeah, can you imagine? I had a fro. When I was in high school, I had a fro.
I have pictures if you want to see.
Yeah. But the point is that, you know, I hope your son, maybe this book helps them to know that it isn't about him. That's about those kids being mean and looking for the weak spot. And as soon as you know that they're going after your weak spot, then you can sort of shore yourself up against that and go, I'm not taking that personal. So maybe this book helps them with that.
Then also as a community, like we need to step up. We need to do better.
Oh, agreed.
Everybody actually, one of the reasons too, like I wanted to approach the schools because, I mean, kids learn from an early age. You know, you see all the memes where, you know, you're not born racist or whatever. And you have the white baby and the black baby or whatever. So it's like, I mean, this is a playful way to know that yes, people that look different than you, but they can be your friend. So it's kinda like that
I
way.
don't see strawberry ice cream here on the cover.
No,
But there is in the book though. So I
but that perseverance, right? Because there are racist people out there, and you want to teach your kids. You got to push through that, and you did it, right? I'm sure you experienced racism all up your time growing up, and probably even maybe in the NFL. But you pushed through it, and you never let it stop you.
And it's more than just race. It's about people who experience differences, right? So like I have skin discoloration, right? You know, so that as a kid, you know, that was kind of hard for me to go through until I learned to accept that, you know. So it's kind of like not just racism, that's kind of one of the underlying things, but it's, as a whole,
anything that's different about anybody else.
Exactly. Right. You know, as a whole. So it's kind of, and you can see, and I think I did it pretty well according to some people. And I think it would be a good book to get in the kids' hands. And it doesn't push an agenda.
No, it doesn't. Amen. Right there. Like, we talk about that a lot. You're not virtue signaling anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're talking about your experience, your kid's experience, and what this does is just really kind of break it down in easy layman terms for a kiddo to understand. And like
it's a fun read too.
It starts with maybe a lot of parents need to read this.
Yeah, you know.
And, we talk about you're at the beginning of the school year and, have that conversation with your kids about what your differences are. Yeah. If someone is, autistic or in the life skills class or, whatever, somebody doesn't look exactly like you, whatever it may be, show a little kindness.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny because it's still, we always need to improve, but the world compared to when I was a kid, because, when the special needs kids, man, they got terrorized in school. Now we're a lot better.
Everything is
we are improving. Everybody can get better.
So politicized nowadays, everything. Crazy. But with all of that said, be kind, be nice. But I am still going to continue to just pick on you and just make you cry every day.
It's your special talent.
It is. It is.
So Kevin, what do you see in your future?
Man, that's a good question. So, I mean, I actually, like I said, I have another book coming out. Looking into a couple more business adventures along the trainings aspect. I don't know if I can talk about it yet or not, but
we'll keep it on the down low.
But I have that coming, and then the book, and then actually, I know I haven't talked to you guys about it, but I talked to my wife. We're looking into getting into the real estate game, not like selling it, but like we want to get a couple of properties. We actually looked, just kind of, we did our own. We haven't hired a real estate agent or anything like that.
But
I
know one.
We like to.
I'll introduce you. I'll get you his card. Nice. He's not here right now. I'll let you in.
So because we like to, before we actually bought the house, I don't know if anybody else has done this, but you know how you get to go look at the model homes.
Yeah.
Every weekend we'll go and we drive around and find a new neighborhood and look at the model homes and just walk through and just that was kind of like our bonding time or whatever. Now we kind of switched that and we going around looking at like land properties and stuff that to do ventures. And so that's kind of the next thing that's on the rise there. I do work, like I mentioned while I was late here. I'm a senior energy consultant for SunPower. So I'm into basically a glorified sales. Actually, I have people under me, but we sell solar.
Okay.
And what solar is basically, you're basically using energy from the sun, and you're using that to provide energy to basically replace your electricity consumption. Yeah. So you can save money that way, reduce your carbon footprint, all that good stuff. So
it's big right now.
So your question, man, I don't know.
Any more kids in the horizon?
I think we're good. I think we're good on that. So
pretty quick.
I would have the 12 year. Well, it's not 12. She'll be 12 in September. Actually, next month. So 12-year-old daughter, 7-year-old son, 5-year-old daughter, and an 8-month-old son.
Holy cow, Kevin!
So we're good. We're good.
Holy cow!
Little baby Colt. He's already almost trying to walk. So he's got some big, thick thighs. So, so we'll see if we can harness that into.
His name is Colt.
Yeah, he's got.
That's a great name.
We kind of groom him to be an athlete. Colt. You can't not have a name with like Colt and not be.
That's
an
exactly
athlete.
right.
That's what living in Dripping Springs has done for you. You already have like a country name.
That's great. Well, where can people get that book?
You can get on Amazon. You can do Kindle. You can do Amazon. You can also go to the website KG Writes Books. That's Writes WRITES.
Like writing a
Hey,
novel.
let's get this book in some of the stores downtown Dripping and stuff.
If you have connections, I don't mind talking to people. I just need to be pushed in the direction.
We'll hook you up, Kevin.
So that'd be amazing. And like I said, if you have connections in the school district, I'm trying to get it in. Like I said, I reached out to them, but I guess I was a little bit too late. Yeah. I have some people that's actually in the Johnson. Actually, my old principal, his son is now a principal at Johnson High School in Buda. And so I got a connection over there. I'm going to try to get it in their school. I got a connection in Wimberley.
It should be in the school.
We're going to put this on. We're going to put this on our website, and we're going to do a reel about this. Hopefully, is this ours? Did you leave?
Yeah, that's for you.
That's you got to sign it, Kevin.
You got to sign it for sure.
Give me a Sharpie and I'll sign it. We'll be good to go.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming in, Kevin. We really appreciate it. So
thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Garrett.
All right. Hey. Tune in next week. I don't know if you have anybody next week, but tune in next week. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallett Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at mallettintegrityteam.com.
Thanks for listening.
If you have comments or feedback, please email us at mallettandmichelle@gmail.com.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Mallett and Michelle.
Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.
Please follow us and leave a review.
Thanks again for listening.